night all Christians sing to hear the news the angels bring. On Christmas night all Christians sing to hear the news the angels bring. News of great joy, news of great mirth, news of our merciful King's birth.
Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate.
Bah, humbug. Get out of my way.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
Bah, humbug.
For Jesus Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray.
Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did.
Then why should men on earth be so sad, since our Redeemer made us glad? Then why should men on earth be so sad, since our Redeemer made us glad? When from our sin he set us free, oh, for to gain our liberty.
7 years ago today, Mr. Marley died.
What did you say, Cratchit?
7 years ago this very night, on Christmas Eve, Mr. Marley died.
Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts, and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew.
Bah, humbug.
"Christmas a humbug, Uncle," said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I am sure."
I do. Merry Christmas. What right do you have to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
"Come, then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said,
Bah,
again, and followed it up with,
humbug.
"Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas. Out upon Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer? If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
"Uncle," pleaded the nephew.
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
"Keep it?" repeated Scrooge's nephew. "But you don't keep it."
Let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I may have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say, returned the nephew. Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
Let me hear another word from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow. Scrooge said that he would see him. Yes, indeed, he did. He went the whole length of the expression and said that he would see him in that extremity first. But why? Cried Scrooge's nephew. Why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. As if it were the only thing in the world more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. Good afternoon.
Nay, uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had a quarrel to which I have been a party, but I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
His nephew left the room without an angry word. Notwithstanding, he stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on the clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them cordially.
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to stop a half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used.
The clerk smiled faintly.
And yet, you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
The clerk observed that it was only once a year.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier next morning.
The clerk promised that he would, and Scrooge walked out with a growl.
Bah! Humbug!
Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
Don't beg on this corner, boy.
I'm not begging, sir. I'm Tim Cratchit. I'm waiting for my father.
Tim Cratchit, eh? Well, then you'll have a long wait, won't you?
Thank you, sir.
Humbug!
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge,
said the gentleman, taking up a pen,
it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
asked Scrooge.
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses? Are they still in operation?
They are, still. I wish I could say they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Both very busy, sir.
Oh, I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude, a few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough. And those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they would rather die, they had better do it, and decrease the surplus population.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
Clear the road, clear the road. Bah! Humbug!
To save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Tim, you must be frozen.
I'm alright now. Could we go home by Cornhill and watch the boys play in the snow?
Of course we can, Tim. I'm to have the whole day off tomorrow. We'll be together, the whole family, for the entire day.
Hurrah for Christmas! The best day of the year!
You'll be there one day, playing with the other children.
I'm quite sure I will. I feel I get stronger every day.
Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by, yet in thy dark streets shineth.
Oh, little town of fools! Merry Christmas! Bah! Humbug!
Carry on, children. Carry on singing, please.
The everlasting light, the hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight.
Meanwhile, the fog and darkness thickened, so that people ran about with flaring lamps, proffering their services to go before horses and carriages and conduct them on their way. The ancient tower of a church, whose gruff old bell was always peeping slyly down at Scrooge out of a Gothic window in the wall, became invisible and struck the hours and quarters in the clouds, with tremulous vibrations afterwards, as if its teeth were chattering in its frozen head up there. The cold became intense. The brightness of the shops were holly sprigs, and berries crackled in the lamp heat of the windows, made pale faces ruddy as they passed, foggier yet and colder, piercing, searching, biting cold.
The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry old year, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears the blossom, as white as ever blossom, as white as ever sweet Jesus Christ, to Mary's womb, sweet Jesus Christ. Oh, the rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears, as sharp as and cherries and sweet Jesus Christ, sweet Jesus Christ, sweet Jesus Christ. Oh, the rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.
Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed.
Scrooge, Ebenezer, Scrooge.
Who's calling me? Did someone call my name?
Scrooge. Scrooge.